and welcome to In the Rising podcast. My name is Bettina, and this is the platform I've chosen to talk about living a life that's in alignment with your hopes, your dreams, your purpose, your goals, and what your vision is for your life. Walking away from the shame, the blame, the negativity that tends to hold us back and hold us down. So I like to start off by saying that I am not a counselor, psychiatrist, psychologist, but I am a life coach and a healthcare professional who really wants to figure out what makes us tick. And right now I've had just a wonderful time having great conversations with people. And today I am able to speak with Dr. Saloni Singh from New Delhi, India. So it was my first podcast with someone in India. And I was really excited about that. And just her voice. Listen to her voice, that there is so much calm and wisdom and confidence in her voice. So I welcome you and enjoy. Welcome, Dr. Saloni Singh. Thank you so much for coming to my podcast today. I am so grateful for your time. Where are you today?
Thank you so much, Bettina, for having me. I am calling from New Delhi, India, and I'm good.
You're the first person in India that I've had the opportunity to speak with, so I'm super excited.
Lovely. I am excited as well.
So you actually have a very, very interesting story. I went to your website, I've read about you, and it says that you were trained as a gynecologist, but changed your path. You want to go a little bit into detail about that?
Sure, I would love that, Bettina. Because a lot of people actually do ask me this question when they get to know that I have been trained in medicine as a gynecologist before. So, to be really honest, I think it's more of a spiritual journey than a career change. So, as a child, I always knew that I was intrigued with psychology, spirituality, but I was growing up in a very small town of India and we didn't have any career counselors. And if you are a good student, that means you either become a doctor or an engineer. And clearly, I didn't like physics and maths, so I took the medicine path. It was only in the first year of my medical school that I realized that, oh, it looks like I'm in the wrong place. I just didn't feel I belonged there. The subjects I was not enjoying at all. And I realized that it was quite a struggle, even though I used to just love studying as a child. So I just couldn't understand. I thought something is wrong with me. What has gone wrong? I was always feeling bad about myself. Why I'm not, able to put my efforts and study well, even though I passed well. But being, a scholar and always in the top students, it was quite disheartening and disappointing the way I was feeling. It was only after after I became after my post graduation I became gynecologist and I got married, and I and my husband went to UK for higher studies, and I was working in London as a gynecologist. That's when I realized it was not that there was a problem with me, it was just that medicine was not for me. And I think I was in the right place at the right time. I was on maternity leave with my second daughter, and I started looking for different options in psychology. And always used to read a lot, spirituality, a lot of things around that, human mind, emotions, understanding of oneself. So I heard about life coaching, and I just felt that's it. This is what I am, my higher calling, my purpose is. And I did my training into life coaching, and as you know, it's a very vast field. So I explored more about mindfulness, meditation, all topics around it. And I resigned from my job as a gynecologist and I started coaching.
That is really a really powerful story, because you're the second person I've had the honor of speaking with who went to medical school and said, this was not for me. And it was the same concept, like my spirit was not in this profession. I had to follow my spirit. And the spiritual journey is really interesting. And I also just became a life coach about 6 months ago, certified. And it was also with the spiritual
Wow.
concept to that there's this shift. Now, did you feel any kind of confusion, or did you have any kind of questions from close friends, family with, well, this is a great career? Or did you feel like you had a lot of support to step away from what you were trained in?
So first of all, I had great support of my husband. So the day I told him, like, I think this is it. This is my calling. This is what I'm looking for. He was like, sure, go for it. If you know it, why not? So I think that really mattered, and having my husband's support, and his parents and my parents. Yeah, there were many people who were like, what is this life coach? Because at that time in India especially, even though I was in UK, but at home, back home, nobody even knew what life coach is. And to be honest, like, I, on my maternal side, my mother's side, and also my father's side, I'm the only doctor in my whole family. So I think my cousins and everybody used to feel really proud. Okay, we have this sister who's a doctor, and everybody was like, oh, okay, she's leaving medicine, and what is she gonna do? Coaching? And everybody just knew that swimming coach or football coach. Nobody knew what a life coach
What a
is.
life coach is.
Yeah, so there were questions, and of course, as you know, like gynecology, medicine itself is a very lucrative branch. It's very well paid. So they were like, "Oh, she's gonna do? Is she gonna really even earn anything? Who comes to life coach?" So all these questions were there, but I think it doesn't matter because my parents and my family could see the transformation. Because
Mhm.
being a coach, like early years is all about knowing oneself. So it was my journey first few years. So I could see from a stressed out doctor to becoming a really calm, patient mom and really understanding life much better. And I was so much more happier. I was a happy person anyway, but my husband could clearly see like I was a different person after,
Mhm.
becoming a coach. So I think that matters ultimately the close your inner circle, and that support I had fully.
That's wonderful. And it's always nice to see that feedback from the people that know you best, to see the change within
Yeah.
you that you kind of as a confirmation that you are on your right path.
Yes, absolutely. That really helped, I would say. Yeah.
So I have not, I mean, I've mentioned on my podcast, I am new to life coaching but I've never gone into details. But this would be a great opportunity for you to describe what it is because your description on your website was beautiful. So I would love for you to just verbalize what that really is.
Life coaching, you mean?
Yes.
So, to be honest, over the years, it's been now almost 13 years I've been coaching Bettina, and I think my definition of coaching has been changing. It's really evolving. So, in the beginning, when I started, it was more about okay, if somebody comes to me with a certain goal, they are stressed, then it's about helping them really, learn how to manage their stress. If they're coming with a goal of, becoming more confident or improving their relationship with someone, it's about diving deep into that particular goal and facilitate their journey. But now, over the years, what I've realized it's all about helping someone really get in touch with their own spirit, with their own wholeness, recognizing that they are not just their circumstances, their mind, their emotions. Actually, they are much, much more than that. And by going through that experience myself, I think it's as a coach, it's our responsibility, I can say, or this is the journey really to help that person through having unconditional love and regard for that person. And that's why the relationship between a coach and coachee, I feel, is the most crucial and important thing in coaching, more than any process, more than any tools. It's like, even though we have our family and friends in life, but coach, like I have my own coach, and I know that's how my clients feel when they talk
Hmm.
about me. It's like having a person who has no agenda of its own, no judgments whatsoever, only pure unconditional love. And I think that's quite a rare thing in today's time, taking into account everybody is stressed out about their own life. So having someone like that by your side, I think, like an ally, it is the most beautiful thing a person can have. So coaching is much more than what I used to think, just helping someone get results. it's like really helping someone really know what life is all about, what their being, their purpose, the meaning of life is all about. So it's much, much deeper, and I would say a lot spiritual in nature. My coaching now is, yeah.
Yeah. And I liked how you used the word ally, that a
Mhm.
lot of us are going through life and we have our friends, we have our family, but it's not always that we can really have someone that doesn't have some sort of relationship with us, right? That can still be an
Yeah.
ally to us and help us find that meaning and purpose. When you speak with your clients or you're working through that, do you feel that either a lack of self-awareness tends to be more prominent or just a lack of purpose? Or is it really just kind of anything?
It can be anything. It really varies, I would say, Bettina.
Mm.
But lack of awareness, a lot. So a lot of time, especially in the first couple of sessions, people say, "Oh my God, I never realized that."
Mm.
Like even recognizing the fact that it's not, my partner, or it's not my work, it's not my child who's driving me crazy. It's not just because there are deadlines. It's because the way I am thinking about that. It's my own thoughts. So I think that's the kind of first self-awareness which kicks in when people come to a coach. And sometimes people come with, directly feeling that, oh, I want to know my purpose, but I would say that's very rare in my experience. Most of the time they are in some circumstances where they're feeling stressed or anxious, or they know there's a better way, you know to do this thing called life in a more
Mhm.
relaxed way, but they just don't know how, because maybe they have never learned about it. They're just, kind of rushing through life. So self-awareness is a big part of it.
And you mentioned mindfulness earlier, and I've heard the term more prominent here in the United States within the last few years. I've heard it from my own coach. Um,
Mm.
how do you feel mindfulness has been something as a tool that you've used in your practice?
So to be honest, Bettina, I don't use mindfulness as a tool. It's more of a way of life, I would call it.
Mhm.
And again, I even don't use the word mindfulness with my clients or the people I talk. I prefer to use the term really coming alive in every moment. So the way I see it is like, and I realize that the difference between the way I live now and when I was a doctor, it's not that there are times when I'm really working a lot and I have two teenage daughters and a family, and my mom-in-law was going through some health issues recently. She's with us. So there's a lot going on, but still it's not that I'm overwhelmed or stressed out, because I know everything is just managing on its own. I just have to do my part. So, coming back to that, this is how I see mindfulness: really being fully present in every moment to moment. Just really being fully alive, even if that's a moment of sadness, because, okay, my child is going through a sad moment. They had something with a friend, or they're not liking the online, studies, and they are not in a state to listen. They just need someone who can hold space for them, just be with them without saying anything. So that's a sad moment. But it's about really being fully present with all my attention, my awareness, and my presence and love in that moment. That's how I see mindfulness. And when I'm
Mm.
working with my clients, that's what I'm really facilitating for them as well. Like how you can be fully present, whatever comes your way, whatever, because even in the middle of chaos, it's not about making sense of it. It's not about only finding solution. It's about really accepting what is and
Yeah.
being in flow with it. Yeah. So this is how I see mindfulness. And yeah, it is a buzzword in India as well. Many people are talking about it. People are really interested, knowing what is mindfulness. So that's how I see it, joy and aliveness of every moment.
And you mentioned also that you studied NLP or neuro linguistic programming. Can you expand on that a little bit and just explain it as well?
Yeah, sure. So again, I don't use the word NLP now anymore. It's more of, over the years I have seen it's more of understanding self, everything kind of get dissolved into that. The NLP, I would describe very simply, is just a way of understanding how your own belief system, your own value system, your own thoughts are impacting you. So that is it can be used as a tool or a process to really help someone understand that it's not the events, again, it's not the triggers that are driving you. It's rather subconsciously how you are, interpreting those events, interpreting those triggers, and then reacting to them. So it's again using it as a self-awareness tool. So once people start understanding, oh, okay, the reason I react to my partner when we talk about money is because of my own belief about
Mm.
money, because of my own belief about life and people, or because of my own insecurities. So once that awareness kicks in, then the transformation begins, because then they see, okay, there is a way to unlearn this and also start learning new empowering beliefs. So one of the work that I do through NLP is the beliefs, changing beliefs, understanding your belief system, because our beliefs really run our life a lot and
Mm.
subconsciously, and a lot of time we are not aware of them.
I also saw that you have your own podcast called Raising Parents 2.0. What made
Yeah.
you want to go into podcasting and describe and tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Sure, I would love that. Thank you. So, Bettina, in the early years when I started coaching, when I actually started my training, I had a baby in my arms and a toddler at home. So once I became a coach and I started, I was so interested in knowing more about how I can become a better mother and how to
Mm.
parent my children while I was navigating, the world of coaching, transitioning my career. And it just so happens, I think it's the way of life, and it always happened with me. And I'm sure you and other coaches would correlate with that. Whatever we need to learn, those are the people who come to us for
Yeah.
coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens. So, in my early years, and I was a qualified teen and parent coach as well, I had done my qualification in that. So, all people who were coming to me, they were families, teenagers, and their parents. And I was loving it because I was studying parenting, whatever would come my way, I would just study how to be more mindful parent, positive parenting, and everything. But it was more from, I would say, my experience with my children, how to do better motherhood, and with my clients. I became interested into parenting, and over the years many families I have coached. So when I thought last year, when we were in lockdown and I was thinking about doing a podcast, so I thought, okay, over the years I have explored many areas, but parenting is something which I can just speak impromptu a lot. And I had a lot of content because I was doing, once upon a time workshops almost every month for parents. When I moved back to India, in 2012, I think for a couple of years, every month I was, working in groups with parents. And there was a lot of things, I could talk about, like connection parenting, positive parenting, mindful parenting. So I thought that would be the first topic I would love to start with. And I always believe that parenting is all about raising ourselves, not raising our children. That's what my journey has taught me. And I
Mm.
have learned a lot from my children. So I feel it's a spiritual path. Parenting is a spiritual path. And that's why I call it Raising Parents, in which I talk about how, as parents, we can raise ourselves to be more mindful, more aware, and conscious human beings. So naturally, we would raise conscious children. So
Mm.
that's what the podcast is all about.
I really like that. And there was one topic I was going through, and it hit home about mental health of children during a pandemic.
Hmm.
Especially with what looks like it's coming again and again. This is just such a strange time. What would you say for parents to be like one or two things to really be aware of as parents at this point in time?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Bettina, that mental health is something people are coming again and again. Like right now, I'm coaching many teenagers. I have two teens at home, and I'm seeing, the roller coaster we are going
Yeah.
through emotionally. It's huge. So, first thing I want to say to all parents is please hang in there, because I see parents are very anxious, sometimes even angry looking at, their children. Many times they realize that excuse me, yeah, many times they realize that children are going through a difficult time, but other times they start losing it because teenagers especially, they are most of the time on their screens. They are not interested in doing things at home, and they don't want to go out if it's allowed. So what is happening is, I tell parents, is that they themselves are going through huge level of stress. It's,
Mm.
even now they even have social anxiety, a lot of teenagers, and they just are not able to make sense of all this. It's been more than a year now. They haven't, done normal schools where they would go out and mingle. I know in some countries schools have opened. In India it is not still opened, and many countries still not opened. So they're really desperate now to go back to a normal life where they could, go out, meet people, meet their friends, have normal school. And it's really taking a huge toll on their mental emotional health. So this is the first thing for us to recognize, even though, because a lot of time parents tell me, Saloni, okay, we are privileged, at least we have food, at least we are
Mhm.
alive. There are people who are dying, all over the world. This does not help. This really
Mm.
does not make a child grateful, because it's like undermining that, okay, their pain is less than others' pain, which is
Mm.
not true. It's about really being present and accepting that yes, my child is going through stress and pain, even though many children will not express that. They have their own way of coping with that. So some children become just quiet, they go into their own shell, they just stay on screens and they're quiet. Some will express in forms of anger. So I remember I was coaching a mom yesterday, and she was telling me, my daughter is yelling all the time, she's angry all the time, she doesn't want to study, what do I do? And I was telling her, this anger, this pain, this yelling is a cry for help, because she is not able to express what she's going through. So it will need a lot more patience from you, a lot more love. And of course, self-care is also very important for parents, because the irony of the situation is, because parents are going through their own, pain.
Mm.
Many parents, helping their own parents going through COVID, or friends, and they are hearing deaths. So they themselves are under stress and overwhelmed. And at this time, it's like really help, ask somebody to hold space for you, and then you hold space for your children. But this is what they need, and be very vigilant as well. Notice if there are any changes, like if your child is not able to sleep, not eat, notice that. And if you feel, take help of a mental health professional. This is what
Mm.
I would recommend.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And then I also saw you have an ebook, How to Stop Overthinking in 3 Minutes.
Yeah, that came from a client only nudged me, because a couple of years back I noticed that I was actually coaching a lot, many leaders and entrepreneurs as well, and everybody who would come to me, at the end of first or second session, we would recognize that this person is overthinking a lot, and they would say, I keep on thinking a situation happen, and I keep on rehashing that in my mind, over analyzing what should I do, over decision making or anything. And that made me think, what's going on? Everybody's like well, literally like a pandemic. I was feeling it's there of overthinking. And then I would talk to my friends, and I realized it is like that. Like people are just overthinking. So I did some, research, and I realized, according to surveys, actually, it's more than 80% urban people, they overthink. And that
Mm.
made me think to write a book. And then one of my clients said that, Sony, please write it for busy people who even don't have time to read. So I wrote this handbook, which is very short, and they loved it. So it's like more of an overview, why we overthink, what makes us, go in this loop habit of overthinking, and what are basic principles to create a mind which is calm, clear. And then I created a tool which is like a 3 minutes meditation tool, which if you do every single day, I feel that will make a difference in quietening your mind and take you out of this overthinking habit. So that's how book came, and that also happened in the lockdown. I thought, okay, I have some time, so let me do, write and finish this.
Well, when we have some time, we can produce amazing things. And this so my podcast is called In the Rising, and I tend to ask this
Mm.
question a lot. What are your goals still to help you rise up to what you feel your purpose is here?
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you for this question, Bettina. Wonderful question. And I love the name of your podcast, really. I really loved that. And it's like, it's beautiful. So, what's in the rising? For me, I would say it's my journey has been for, I would say, for many years now, actually, just
Mm.
coming home to myself. And I notice that every time there is a lot has happened in the last couple of years, especially in my personal life, with people being sick and a lot of emotional turmoils. And every time I notice it's like a tsunami of emotions come over some loved one or myself, and then there is deep peace. So I always feel that it's always about coming home to myself, and that's where my purpose really lies, like in my experience of my own wholeness, my
Mm.
own spirit, my own journey, and then bringing that unconditionally loving myself and everyone I interact with, and then bringing that to my clients, to my family, or to anyone I'm talking to. So that's what I feel is my purpose and is in the rising. It's just ongoing, and I think it will keep on going till my last breath. That's how I see it.
Finding wholeness and finding your way home, and you are where your home is. So I enjoyed the conversation with Dr. Singh. She just is a phenomenal woman. And what struck me is that she was willing and wanting and needing to step out of her success as a doctor, but to be in her purpose. And that takes a lot of courage in my view, and is also really beautiful to watch. So I hope that you gained as much out of this conversation with Dr. Singh as I did. And you know what? If you did, share it and put a 5-star review. It does so much, not only for me and the podcast, but also for the person that shared their time and their story with us. So until next time, let's keep building one another up.